Good evening, everyone. This is Rakhi Gautam from Great HR, the moderator for the session today. I welcome you all today to our Thought Leadership webinar, Great HR Meets. The topic for today is using artificial intelligence and automation for smart hiring and onboarding. Now, before I dive into the topic, let's do a little housekeeping on how the session goes. So the session is divided into two parts. The first part will be the discussion with our expert, which will then be followed by an audience Q&A. So I can say the audience Q&A is where time is all yours, dear attendees. You can start putting across your questions from now, in fact, and we'll take them up towards the end. Also, the session is currently being recorded. So if you happen to miss out on anything, do not worry at all. We have got you covered. We will share the recording with you once it is done. And also, this webinar recording will be available on our Great HR official YouTube channel. So you can always go there and watch it. Now, I think we do have the quorum to start the discussion. So without any further delay, let's start the session. In the rapidly evolving landscape of talent acquisition, organizations are increasingly evolving, and they're turning towards artificial intelligence and automation to streamline their hiring processes, enhance decision making, and optimize the onboarding experience. Today, as we delve into the world of smart hiring, we are going to explore some innovative solutions, practices, and discuss the transformative impact of artificial intelligence on the entire recruitment lifecycle with our esteemed speaker, Ms. Rania Abirad, Chief Human Resources Officer at Evercare Group. Thank you so much for joining us today, Rania.
Thank you, Raki. It's a pleasure to join you.
Likewise. So before we start with the questions, and I do have a lot with me, let me quickly take you all through our speaker's profile. Rania is a seasoned HR professional with over 25 years of rich experience in international HR within Europe and emerging markets and across a range of sectors within life sciences, biotech, and FMCG. Her skill set encompasses a wide range of HR domains from organizational design, HR strategy, operating model design and development, total rewards design, talent management, and HR transformation. Rania has been focusing lately on how the future of work and artificial intelligence is going to impact the workplace in terms of the HR function and its delivery of an enhanced and digitized employee experience. Now, I think she's the perfect person who we have, gotten onboarded. So thank you so much, Rania, for joining us. And let's start with the discussion. But before that, I do have one poll question for our audience who has joined us today, which I'm just going to launch. And I would request each of yours, participation in this. So I'm just going to launch the question now. Okay, it is launched. So the question is, which aspect of the hiring process do you believe could benefit the most from artificial intelligence and automation? Three choices are there. There's initial candidate screening, interview scheduling and coordination, or onboarding processes. Okay, let's have the responses. Because the topic is on artificial artificial intelligence and automation, we wanted to also understand what is it that the audience feel, when it comes to AI and automation, when it comes to talent acquisition. Okay, I think, yes, some more people to answer. Yes, please participate. Okay, I think we still have some, responses to share with you all. So I can see some, okay, people are still answering. So let's give them another 30 seconds. Okay, I think we have the results with us. Let me end the poll now and share results with you all as well. Okay, so I think you all can see there's initial candidate screening, which has gotten the most percentage of 60%. Yeah. And then there's 15% interview scheduling and coordination, and then 26% for onboarding processes. So I think,
yes, initial candidate candidate screening was my first choice as well.
Great. So good to know that, our expert and our audience have similar thoughts on this topic today. So great. Thank you so much for your participation. And this definitely has given us a context to start our discussion today. Of course, we are going to, deep dive into all things which is, related to talent acquisition. But before that, let me start with a very basic, simple question, which is, Rania, please help us understand, how would you say that the recruitment process has evolved over the recent years?
Yeah. So without revealing my age, I'll just take you a little bit in time. So I started, my HR career in the mid 90s. And I started as an internal HR recruiter or HR consultant for the first 4 years. So now I want you to imagine life as a recruiter with no mobile or internet. Instead, you were expected to use a landline, fax machine, and snail mail to communicate with candidates. This meant that recruiters had to put a lot of effort and time into finding and interviewing candidates, not to mention the fact that the process was quite costly. Now, we all know 95 smartphones were just coming into the market. 98, we started using emails, and in early 2000, LinkedIn was founded, along with video conferencing facilities, whereby candidates had to go to a special facility at an appointed date and time for the interviews. And I know at my company, they hired a specific person just to schedule those video conference calls because we were recruiting globally. At the same time, applicant tracking systems, or what we know now as ATS, emerged with capabilities such as job postings, candidate applications through a job portal, along with communication capabilities for scheduling and saving notes. That's what we're used to right now. Okay, LinkedIn, ATS, video conferencing. Now, fast forward to today, to 2024, advancements in technology have been made so that tech gets used in every stage of the recruitment process, all the way from the application process to making job offers and even sending onboarding material. Nowadays, smartphones are being used by 3.8 billion people. You can use LinkedIn among other platforms to find and connect with candidates. Email is the tool that we use to connect with candidates, to get more information and set up the next steps in the process. Now, we don't only have video conferencing, now we have Skype, Teams, Zoom, HireVue, among other video conferencing tools allow recruiters to interview candidates in real time from the comfort of their homes or offices. Now, with the use of some cloud-based software, so the cloud came also into formation, manual resume reformatting, for example, if you're a recruiter with a heavy workload, has become a thing of the past. So cloud-based software parses resumes and adds them to your candidate database, allowing the recruiters to reformat the information in the CVs using as many different templates as they would like to create candidate reports to submit to either internal or external clients. I remember 25 years ago, I had actually to do it like manually by hand and type it. It was very time consuming. Now, recently, and to the subject of our topic, AI has emerged as a game changer in the recruitment industry and is predicted to play an even bigger role moving forward. AI-powered tools have streamlined various stages of the hiring process, including candidate sourcing, resume screening, candidate matching, and interview scheduling, up to onboarding. So I hope that sheds a light on the development of the recruiting process in the last 2 decades.
Definitely it does. Thank you so much for, sharing all that. And I think it always helps when there's a comparison, right? We talked about how it has evolved. And you took us 25 years back talking about how everything was manual at that time. There was more time, there was more effort, which would go into this. And now with the emergence of these technologies, with the emergence of just a touch, right? And you have things with you at your, hands, basically, literally. So that's what technology has enabled today. And of course, it's not just restricted to when we say, okay, IT industry, they're working on softwares. So this is only where technology comes into picture. No, now it's like every sector from manufacturing to, like all, we see that even if I'm a marketing professional, I would be heavily relying, or maybe I would be upskilling myself with technology to keep up with the pace, right? To keep up with the trends. And likewise, recruitment has also seen the HR teams have now upskill themselves to use more of technology to make better data driven decisions. You talked about cloud softwares and how it helps us in resume screening. There's a lot of time that gets saved also, and then you get also better decisions. So thank you so much, Rania, for setting the context for today. Now moving to my next question, we of course talked about how the comparison has been, right? But if I just want to elaborate more on that, how would you say artificial intelligence have helped make the hiring processes faster and more proficient for both the recruiters as well as candidates as well? Not just the HR teams who work on it, but also if I'm a candidate, I'm applying for a job, how AI has helped me, maybe transform and be better at it, be more time efficient. How would you describe that?
So now AI recruiting tools are being used throughout the entire recruitment process, from sourcing up to onboarding. Now, using AI in recruitment means that large candidate pools can be considered, and the best of the best can be picked out in a much quicker time than it would take for an individual or a team of recruiters. Not only that, but using AI improves accuracy, given that bias will be eliminated from the equation, and the people put forward will be the ones who are best for the job. So what does that mean to the candidate? Is that the candidate, instead of writing this resume, posting it, or relying on an email, is that they can, people can get used to the algorithms, like I can write my resume in such a way, I can remove my age, because the algorithm will only catch what is important to the job. So savvy candidates who are applying can actually apply this logic. Now, machine learning algorithms can now analyze vast amounts of data in the sourcing process to identify the most qualified candidates, saving time and effort for recruiters. So that also means for candidates, wherever I am based in the world, people will be able to identify me. But before, when there was no internet and there wasn't a big reach, candidates outside the country of applications were not visible and didn't have visibility. They had to know someone in the country. Natural language processing enables the analysis of resumes, cover letters, and even your online content to evaluate the candidate's qualifications and match them with job requirements. That's why, guys, be very careful what you post online, on LinkedIn, even on your Facebook, even whatever you write, be very careful also with your content. Because AI has become very savvy that it can catch if the employer has programmed certain algorithms to see if they have posted something political or inappropriate, it can catch it. AI-powered talent assessment. Now, this is very exciting. I believe that AI-powered talent assessment tools are increasingly being used by companies to measure candidate competency and personality traits based on predefined criteria. So these AI-powered tools offer a more comprehensive and efficient way to assess candidates by incorporating gamification, behavioral assessments, and skills testing. Moreover, chatbots and virtual assistants have improved the candidate engagement by providing real-time support and answering frequently asked questions. So that's a very good benefit for the candidate. Instead of sending an anonymous email, and sometimes you have just a recruitment email, recruitment at, and then you answer a question, you might get answered, you might not get answered. Or you might get an answer after 10 days if you're lucky. Now, with chatbots and virtual assistants, you can get those kind of answers on the spot in real time. So you know what you're applying. So for the candidate, it's more visibility. It's more ability to apply to multiple jobs in different countries. It's also lack of bias because, depending on the algorithms, and we're still working our way up to that, AI can reduce a lot of bias. So people will not look at your age, will not look at your ethnicity, and so forth. So I hope I have managed to answer this question, because I know there are some other questions where we go deeper into those areas.
Definitely. And I think explained it, in a way that's very easy to understand as well. When we say, because when I would say, okay, I'm a candidate, I'm applying for a certain job, and I'm from a certain location, before I would not have that flexibility or that opportunity to, apply outside of that particular location. I would restrict myself, even if I'm not getting the job that I want. I know that I can get a certain job which is just not in the same periphery. I wouldn't be able to apply for that. But now with technology, with more emergence of technologies and tools, there are more options. There's more visibility for the candidates, for them to also get a reply back. I think this is a
Yes,
pain point for everybody.
yes, main
You
point.
know, when we apply and then when we don't hear back, it's like, okay, please tell me if I'm hired or not. Even if even if my candidature is not, say, shortlisted, you give me a response, so I don't keep on hoping that I would get a response, which would be sort of a miscommunication before, when we did not have these technologies. So, and then you talked about how, as a as a in perspective of a recruiter, how this has helped. There are a lot of more things that you can do. There's the candidature experience. We talk about employee experience, but the candidate experience has also been evolving, and these tools that we use, these tools that are used by recruiters, help us do it more better. So thank you so much for sharing all that, and I hope everybody's taking notes, because this is really important. So okay, moving on to my next question, which is, you talked about how technology, because when we talk about technology, it does not have any emotions attached to it, right? It would not come with prejudice. It would not come with biases. So how would you say? But of course, having said that, there's always a debate on if technology can take over the human connection which is there. But to focus on the first part here, how would you describe that AI tools can ensure a fair hiring process and they can avoid biases? Is there any algorithms that you talked about that we can focus on?
Yeah, so implementing AI tools that anonymize candidate information and they standardize evaluations helps reduce bias. Now, to reduce bias in hiring, you start by diversifying your training data. Why? Because AI and those algorithms, they learn. They learn from your existing data, whether it's a training data, or we use a training data as an example, or whether it's any other data you gather from your employee base, and you test algorithms for bias and regularly refine the model. So also implementing transparency, you have to offer a human oversight. You cannot let AI just test it on its own. You have to have, offer a human oversight. And that's another topic when we talk about AI governance. For example, getting committees, getting a lot of things, promoting continuous monitoring. These steps help create a fair and more equitable hiring practices using AI. But let me go a little bit deeper into those algorithms. And I will give you an example, not related to the bias. When we started using LinkedIn, and up to a few years ago, I remember I used to apply, for example, for a job on LinkedIn. Okay, so based on my interest in jobs, LinkedIn used to, give me notifications that this job might be interesting to you and you fit 95% of the criteria. Now, guess what has happened? Their algorithms were not great at that time. Because one day I got, I work in healthcare, but I'm on the HR front. And then I got a notification for a position as a neurosurgeon. You fit 95%. How do I fit 95% of a neurosurgeon? Because their AI, their algorithms haven't been refined enough. And so right now, LinkedIn has also really worked on the algorithms. So when we talk about eliminating bias, at the start of the using of AI, there is also a risk that AI can be biased. Why? Because if you don't really work on the algorithms, test them on your diverse data or on diverse data, monitoring them, removing the bias from the algorithms, you will have an AI biased recruitment process. So the human factor is important in testing those algorithms, just like LinkedIn started and then started issuing, different jobs that you're not qualified for, based on their algorithms, which were not refined. So the same with the biases. You need to do a lot of testing on it. You need to refine it. You need to have a human oversight. You need to monitor it continuously. But once you do that, and you get it to be very trained in those, then you can remove bias. I hope that answered the question.
Definitely does, because, as you rightly mentioned, there's always, it's required that there's AI governance, as you talked about in the beginning of your answer, because we can't just let technology guide us and take us anywhere, right? It has to have that human intervention, where we also know, okay, there, because what happens, there has been a lot of conversations about, will AI take away our jobs, or is it just going to be technology now? We're going to have robots working in organizations, but those robots, of course, wouldn't be able to understand these biases, right? So it's important that before we put on anything on our job portals, or if we put a basic job application, we have to understand that we have taken care of all these biases before. Because as you mentioned, you work in healthcare, and poof, you are asked to interview for a neurosurgeon. So
Well,
that's how.
how did
And
that happen? Yeah.
yes, so of course, technology is something that is created by humans at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So humans are going to be the charge of it, and it is just that when there's a technology, of course, you have to keep upgrading it, you have to keep testing it, and it can't be just on one set of data. You have to experiment with everything that is available, and then take decisions. So thank you so much for helping us with this biases question, because I think that is the most talked about, right? Because we can't just leave everything to technology. So thank you for that. Moving on to my next question. You talked about chatbots and virtual assistants, and how they can also be very profound when we talk about a recruitment cycle. So, just help us understand, how can, chatbots or virtual assistants can improve the communication, which is there from the beginning of getting in touch with the candidate, to getting them onboarded, and, in fact, till their, say, probation period is also over. So how can that help?
So, AI chatbots are really revolutionizing the recruitment and the way bias is mitigated, as we've mentioned before. Leveraging data-driven algorithms, and that's the key, these chatbots assess candidates based on their qualifications and skills, eliminating factors such as age, gender, ethnicity, or educational background from the question. So I think this is where they come into play. Now, there are different touch points or phases in the recruitment process. One of them is automated screening. One of the initial applications of virtual assistants was in the pre-screening of candidates. And I think that's related to the question you asked at the beginning, and because that was one of the first uses. By analyzing resumes and job applications, these AI-powered tools could shortlist applicants based on predefined criteria. You put the predefined criteria, it just shortlists. This process drastically reduced the manual effort required to sift through numerous applications. So automated screening is one use of the AI virtual assistants. Now, let's look at the chatbot interaction as another phase. So as AI and natural language processing advanced, virtual assistants evolved into chatbots, capable of answering candidate queries, scheduling interviews, and providing basic information about the company and the job role. This led to a more engaging and informative candidate experience. Now, another use is the assessment and evaluation, which I had referred to earlier. Now, with the ability to conduct psychometric assessments, coding tests, and skill evaluations, virtual assistants began assisting HR teams in objectively assessing candidates' capabilities. This improved the accuracy of hiring decisions and eliminated bias to a certain extent. Then the personalized engagement comes into place, where busy recruiters don't have time to engage individually with every candidate. So modern virtual assistants leverage data analytics to create personalized experiences for candidates. They can send tailored follow-up emails, recommend relevant job openings, and provide insights into career paths within the organization. So I think this is, to sum it up, it's automated screening, chatbot interaction, assessment and evaluation, and personalized engagement.
Definitely. I think I can say this for all that we all agree with you on this point. And I think something which is very important is also personalization. Before, we would, of course, do a lot of work, and of course, a lot of manual work would be there, time and effort would go into that. But that personalization could be, something that you could do only enough. If you have some 100 candidates with you, you can't be like, it would require a lot of time and effort, and it would not be of that level when we talk about the personalization that we get today. There's a lot of, you talked about gamification apps as well. That is something that can also help enhance the candidate experience. And when we talk about this, so thank you so much for sharing that. I hope everybody's taking notes, and I can already see some questions coming in from the audience. And if you have any questions, you can start putting them now. We will be taking them up in some time, but you can start putting your questions now so that we don't have a bunch of questions waiting for us at the end. We have a list of them. So okay, moving on to my next question, which is also something which was asked in the audience questions, was if you could, because when we talk about AI, you have already talked about some tools, but when we say, okay, artificial intelligence is doing something, machine learning is doing something, and there's no more terms coming up every day, right? We keep hearing about chat GPT now and then. So if there are any tools that you would recommend, that can be, say, implemented by small and medium sized businesses for better hiring, what is it that you would recommend then?
So I wouldn't say I have used all of them, but I know some colleagues who might have, and I've read about them. So this is actually some research I have done to share with you. And I'm happy, Raki, to send it to you in writing so you can share with the audience later. So let's talk first about the sourcing tools, where you have to start identifying candidates and do the research aspect in order to identify and find the best candidates quickly and efficiently. Now, these tools use machine learning algorithms to analyze resumes, social media profiles, and other data sources to identify candidates. Now, some of the most popular AI sourcing tools include Aria with a Y, HireEZ, Fetcher, and Textio. Now, let's go to the second is the screening. So after you source and find people, then you need to screen those people. So the screening tools are designed to help you sift through resumes and identify also the ones you shortlisted, you sift more deeply into the resumes. Again, these tools use machine learning algorithms to analyze resumes and other data sources. Some of the most popular AI screening tools include Beamery, Humanly, and Pomato. And again, these are all may not cost you a lot to subscribe to, by the way. Then you go to the interviewing tools. Okay, some tools, use natural language processing along with machine learning algorithms to analyze candidates' responses and provide real-time feedback to recruiters. Some of the most popular AI interviewing tools include My Interview and Talocity. Then you've got the AI onboarding tools. Okay, so these are designed to help companies onboard new people or employees more efficiently and effectively. Again, they use machine learning algorithms. Okay, so you see, you use NLP or natural language processing for responses and real-time feedback, and the rest are machine learning algorithms to automate admin tasks and provide personalized onboarding experiences for new hires. So one of the most popular AI onboarding tools for SMEs is ENBoarder. Again, I'm happy to give you that, Raki, so you can share with people after the, with our participants after the webinar. So these are some of the tools.
Sure. Thank you so much, Rania, for sharing all that. I'm sure our audience would be happy to, get their hands on the names, and, they can experiment and see if this is something which is working for them. Of course, one model can't fit all. So it has to depend on the kind of, requirements that you have. And then you go about choosing the tools, which is, most perfect for you. So thank you, Rania, for that. And moving on to my next question, which is something that we have discussed already in in some way, but if you could elaborate more on that. We talked about onboarding experiences, right? So how would you say, or how would you describe that journey while using AI or automation, to enhance that onboarding experience for our new employees?
So you see, as the saying goes, the first impression is the last impression. So this holds true for the onboarding process and what it speaks about your organization. So it is the new employee's initial interaction and sets the tone for their employment. So let's see how AI can help you. First of all, by using templates and reminders for pre-hire work. So of course, there are a lot of pre-documents that people have to fill. So they automate the pre-hire paperwork using templates and reminders, ensuring all necessary documentation is efficiently completed and collected. This allows both you and the new hire to focus on more engaging elements of onboarding, such as learning about company culture and expectations. Even that you can use a chatbot AI to tell you about it. Now, connecting with the new hires through automated correspondence is the next step. It's a convenient way to consistently connect with the new hires. From welcoming emails, the first welcome emails, you can automate that and send it to schedule briefing messages. Automation enables you to make communication charming and timely. This encourages new hires to feel integrated and valued right from the start. Now, I have to say, great to receive, and maybe I am still a bit old-fashioned. It's great to receive an AI automated welcome message, but it's greater that the line manager picks up the phone and says welcome to the candidate. I mean, one of the best experiences of onboarding I had was with one company. I gave my notice of 6 months. Every month, my new manager, on my notice period, every month my new manager picks up the phone and says, how's your exit going? Is there anything I can help you with? And he used to, at that time, DHL some important material for me to learn about. Now, this I will not forget because it is very personalized. So guys, use AI as much as possible. And I understand when you have a lot like 3,000 hires in like maybe very junior roles or developer, you might want to use that. But for some manager, middle manager, and senior manager, always ensure the personal touch as much as you can, depending on the size. Now, creating also automatic messages for assigned buddies in the onboarding process, because you assign buddies. A good onboarding process has buddies. To boost the integration process, assigning buddies to new hires is a great initiative. I always found it like it works. You can create automatic messages for these buddies to offer tips, ask about the new hires' progress, and provide on-time reminders for meetings or tasks. This ensures that the buddies take an active role in assisting the new hires during their initial days. So these are some of the things, on each of the onboarding process. There are, of course, many steps. And if I want to break it down, it is going to be like welcome messages, assign onboarding buddy, first day checklist, new hire engagement, automate text and the chat-based interactions. So basically that summarizes it on the onboarding.
Thank you so much for that, Rania. That really helps. And I'm sure, again, I'm reiterating, people should be taking notes, our audience should be taking notes, because this is definitely helpful. And I love the fact that, you shared an anecdote where your next, new manager was, you would, check up and say, and be very, like accommodating, right? Very helpful. So that this is something that goes a long way. You talked about, you started your, response with, first impression is your last impression, and that I think summarizes it all. It's important that as much as you use technology, there has to be also human interventions. There has to be the role of that manager, where because managers are the ones who directly report to them, and they are their direct connects. They are the somebody who is representing the company. It cannot be the CEO or the founders always. It's your manager. So that manager has that responsibility to make the new hire feel welcomed. They feel that okay, they also belong to this organization. So it's important to create that, wholesome onboarding experience so that they also, stay. That is something which is very important. So thank you, Rania, for sharing all the insights on that. It really helps. Now moving on to
we can have another webinar on onboarding, because I've had some great examples of companies I worked with that we made it very specific. And this is why HR people should not be afraid that AI will replace their roles. Because
definitely.
there are some elements with the personal touch that you cannot take away, that AI cannot take away unless you have very sophisticated robots. And then they still don't have the human intelligence at this stage and the human touch necessary.
Definitely. I think we will all agree with that. At the end of the day, technology is made by humans. We can always enhance it, we can always upgrade it. But at the end of the day, that, connection which you feel with your colleagues when you meet in physical, that is something that goes a long way. Why a lot of people don't prefer work from home or remotely is also because they want to feel engaged. They want to feel like, okay, they know the faces behind these cameras as well. And it's important to have those interactions every now and then. So thank you. And I'll take your word for it to have another webinar on onboarding. I'm sure, our audience would appreciate that. Now, moving on to my next question, I just have a couple of questions with me and then we can move on to audience questions. Audience, if you haven't posted your question already, you can start doing it now. Okay, so my next question to you would be, we talked about a lot of tools that you recommended, that you talked about how artificial intelligence is transforming the way we work today. It's transforming the workplace, the HR world. So, but when we talk about technologies, right, there's always that factor of budget that comes into. There's always a price, right? So when we talk about the incorporating AI, artificial intelligence, into our hiring processes, what would you suggest to companies, small medium enterprises, as to how they can start with it if we don't have a big budget with us, but we still want to experiment? What is it that you would suggest that they can do?
Yeah, so an implementation of an AI can cost as little as $25 per month if all you need is an AI-empowered team using ChatGPT for Teams, for example. Or it can amount to millions of dollars if you are to develop a recommendation engine that rivals Netflix's. So custom-made AI solutions for big companies cost millions and millions of dollars. I think OpenAI, the company that came with the ChatGPT, spent over 100 million US dollars to train a GPT-4. This is what we talk. But let's talk about the significant costs in AI come in when you develop your own solution. Okay, so for medium and small size companies, the best bet is using a pre-packaged solution that fits your business and cut costs significantly. So let me give you an analogy. If you are implementing an HRIS system, if you bring on board, Workday or Oracle or SAP and say, I want a customized solution, can you imagine how many millions of dollars you will have to spend in the implementation timeline? Because we know that when you customize your HRIS, especially those Oracle, SAPs, and Workdays, it's going to be huge cost. Now, look, if you are 200 people and you go to a off-the-shelf HRIS solution, you can't customize a little bit, but it fits your need. You might pay $200,000 or $150,000. It's the same with AI. Okay, so if you are a small business with a limited budget, you might want to start with something simple like using AI software to automate your customer support with a chatbot. The same, customer support or a chatbot for your candidates. This can be done relatively cheaply and will free up your staff to focus on other tasks. Nowadays, there are something called no-code platforms that build AIs that can assist with all sorts of application use cases at very affordable prices. For example, for only $49 you can build a no-code machine learning model and chat with your data using a specific platform. Some of those platforms I came across are Akio, for example, $49, and they will rent you the use of this platform for no-code machine learning models. Tools like Bubble or Flutterflow lets you develop cross-platform applications using different language models according to your use cases, for example. So I don't want to get too technical because I'm not too technical, but in short, the cost of AI depends on the level of functionality also you want to achieve and the level of business processes you're trying to augment. So the more complex, the more expensive.
Definitely.
And also a simple minimum viable product, which you call MVP, can be built using open source technology for close to no cost. But to create a high quality AI project with a high accuracy rate, you will want a custom solution. So again, we go to the accuracy. There will be less accuracy, but the more functionality you require, the more accuracy, high quality accuracy rate you require, you will want a custom solution that learns from a large amount of data. Now that is very expensive. Okay. So I hope that helps.
Definitely it does. It does. Of course, there's always a price to pay for it. But yeah, as you talked about, it's also very crucial to have customized solutions, because that is something that is, that is your USP when we talk about customized solutions. So of course, to start off with, companies, organizations can experiment with tools which are already available. Like you talked about ChatGPT, which is something which is very basic, and it is free, right? Even if you don't, doesn't matter which domain you are from, you can still experiment with it. You can ask, you can share some data and tell it to, okay, give me a analysis for it, or tell me about this, or write my resume for me, and this is my previous resume, and this is the candidate, this is my some job that I'm applying to. So you create a resume like that. So it's for both the candidates as well as companies. There are a lot of options available which they can experiment with before they finalize on one. And I think there are a lot of companies, AI tool companies, which would offer you
Yes.
these trials, which would offer you some testing that you can do before you finalize, okay, this is something. And they can come up with some 100 solutions, right? And you can choose to just start with some 2 or 3. It depends on what is your requirement. So
Yeah.
thank you for sharing that. And I think it's very important whenever you go for any tool or anything, any objective, it's very important that you have your requirements very clearly set in your mind. Okay, this is something what I want, because something which an XYZ or your competitor might be using might not fit you. So thank you for that. I think
I
that's
just
something.
want to give a bit of piece of practical advice because I go through it. As you know, it doesn't matter what your level in HR is or how big the company, your HR budget is usually smaller than other budgets like marketing or digital. What I try to use is really form relationships with my chief innovations officer or chief digital officers. They have the budgets. And by using your relationships with them, you can also say, okay, can I get a use of one of your 2 teams to digitize this bit of HR? That way, you're not even paying anything from your HR budget. Because, for example, I work in healthcare now, hospitals. We use a lot of AI and robotics in surgery. But the main focus is investing in the medical, in the surgeries and the customer support. The HR is still the end, but you piggyback basically on people's other budgets that they know you have a lot and they have hired people to digitize. And then you can carve out some time. Can you help pilot this for my team? And of course, we all know if you don't have really good relationship with your peers, they might not want to help you. And you can't go running to your boss every time you need anything. So this is just a bit of a practical advice how to get some
The best
in-house
advice.
done for free.
No, the best advice. It actually sums up our webinar in such a, like, it's like a synergy, right? Because we spend the whole 1 hour talking about technology, and also just not investing into technology, but also have human intervention. And with this answer, with this advice that you just gave, it just sums it up all. That with technology, your relationships, your human connections would come and would help you a lot. So thank you so much for that. And I think that's the advice that everybody should take care. So thank you for that, Rani. I think this was a wonderful conversation. There was a lot of insights that you shared. And I, like I kept I tried to, make notes, of course, that, okay, this is something that, but then there was a lot of information. So if anybody like that is feeling very overwhelmed with the webinar that we just have, don't worry at all. The tools that, Rania talked about, everything would be available with you, because this is a recorded session, as was told in the beginning, and it will be sent to you with also the credentials of Miss Rania, because I'm sure a lot of you would want to connect with her. She's also available on LinkedIn. She's there on our post that we did. So you can always connect with her, have a chat, see what more insights she has to offer, and you all can exchange ideas. And of course, this recording would be sent to you, and you can always watch it on our YouTube channel. So with that, I think, Rania, my questions are up. I already had too much, I feel like. But thank you again for all the insights that you shared. Was very helpful. I'll just quickly move on to the audience questions and see what all we have for the next 5 to 8 minutes, and then we can conclude this. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So Hiral had wanted to wanted some names of the talent acquisition tools. So this, I think, Hiral is already discussed. You can watch in the recording. But Rania, if you want to maybe highlight one or two more again, we can do that.
Yeah, I can write them to you, Raki, because there are a lot of AI tools in each of the process. I'll send you an email, and maybe you can share them as well with the participants in a separate.
Great.
Email.
We'll do that. In fact, the recording that we'll upload on our YouTube channel, all of you who are going to, watch it there, just make sure to click on the description. You will have all the tools mentioned there. All thanks to Rania. So, okay, moving on to my next question, which is something a lot of us would be interested in. I think this is also covered, but, if you can elaborate more on it. So this is from Ankita. How can I use artificial intelligence to find a new job?
It's a great, because with artificial intelligence, let's look at generative AI and ChatGPT. You can use a ChatGPT to refine your resumes, okay, to fit the new job. So I know every time there's a new job posting, you can't just send already a resume that you've already updated. You can use some kind of ChatGPT to just match you. See how many, you look at your resume, how many are the skill set that are mentioned in the job are in your resume. That's how you can use it. And
Great.
then you can apply, because then their algorithms will catch you. The words very quickly and get you shortlisted. Because now it's not the recruiter who's opening every resume. They look at, for example, how many skill sets. Okay, so make sure that the skill sets mentioned on that job in LinkedIn or any other job board matches the skill sets that you have mentioned in your resume. Use the keywords from the site describing the job, and make sure your resume has those keywords so that it catches.
Definitely. I think we do have a lot of used cases for this, because before, we would have just one resume and we'll just keep sending it to everywhere, right? But now it's like we are also sending personalized resumes, given the job description which is there of a particular company. We add those skills to match with the algorithm. So thank you for sharing that, Rania. I hope Ankita has taken note of that. And thank you so much, Ankita, for that question. Moving on to next question from Anil and Zia. So both of them are asking for tools only, which I have already told will be shared with you. So you can, get it later.
I think, those tools are the most exciting, because I also did it, some of the tools I will give you, I didn't have a chance to experiment with. But after my research, I was very excited, and going to that product was very excited, to try it. So there's a lot of things going on outside there in the web that
Yes,
are
definitely.
very amazing tools when you do the research. But since I've done it, happy to share them after that webinar with an email with Raki, and she can give you all the tools.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Rania. Okay, now moving on to the next question, which is from, do you think ChatGPT is hampering creativity of individuals since they are getting overly reliant on it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I will give you many examples. I have actually a speaking appointment on the 7th of February on agile HR operating models using AI. So, I'm doing my slides and I said, okay, I want to give the audience a very good experience that they cannot go to a website and just, search and get the information. So I said, let me use the ChatGPT. So I looked at the ChatGPT and said, tell me about the different types of HR operating models. Oh my God. And then the question that came was centralized, decentralized. I didn't think it was enough, and it was not enough. Because I'm an expert in that area, when I read it, it's definitely not enough. Okay? So, first of all, yes, it's definitely hampering the creativity. But if you are an expert in your field, you can tell if that ChatGPT answer is the correct one. Now, what is happening now in the world is also to make use of a ChatGPT, you need the ChatGPT answer is as good as the prompt you put in. So now, if you are an expert and creative, you will prompt GPT with more and more prompts and digging deeper with questions. And this way, ChatGPT can help you with pulling all the information from all the web based on the prompt and the narrow prompt. Now, if you are not an expert and you're not creative, you're going to rely blindly on a generic answer from ChatGPT and you will be found out. So over reliance on AI at this stages is a bit dangerous, and people can, expert people and those experienced in their fields and those who have knowledge will know it. So I say for the younger generation, please try to still read on your topics, become an expert in your area, rather than just rely on ChatGPT. So use it wisely. So I hope this answer has, shed some light on that.
Definitely does. And I think I also read it somewhere that not sure if this is the updated data because the data might have been updated now.
Yeah.
But it was shared before that ChatGPT has only information till 2019 or 20 September. I'm not sure of the year, but it had the information till 2019 September or 2020. So, after that, suppose something that happened in, say, 2022 or 23 recently in December, that might not be there in ChatGPT. And if you ask it a question and it will not give you the correct answer. And of course, if you're an expert, you would know it. And yes, I've seen a lot of conversations on how it is very important when you ask certain things on ChatGPT, you have to give it a very correct prompt. You have to keep prompting it, in fact, to get the most relevant answer.
And sometimes you don't get it all. Because I would like to think I'm an expert in a few areas, but I still keep learning, because even if you're an expert and you keep learning, because there's always new innovations in that area. And this is why I say to the younger generations that is out there, please do not substitute that learning with ChatGPT blindly. That is not to say that in the future, this ChatGPT will be very competent. The same as LinkedIn. When we started with LinkedIn, they recommended jobs that are not fit for you. As the prompt, there are some jobs now called the prompt developers. As this expands, as you get more, you still need the expertise and the knowledge. So please, use complement AI with your expertise. Do not miss the education process and the knowledge.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Rania. That helps a lot. Moving on to the next question, which is from Preeti. I think this is a question for Great HR. Is Great HR planning to integrate AI tools for recruitment? This will be something, of course, we keep exploring our potential at Great HR and we keep experimenting. But this is something that I would suggest our product team would be, more would be the right team to answer it. But yes, definitely we'll get back to you on this. Next question is from, there's some comments also from people thanking you for the session, Rania. So thank you so much for that. Moving on to quickly one comment from Anish Raj, who said, please do the onboarding process session soon. Looking forward to hear from you more innovative ideas and experience. So thank you, Anish, for that comment, and we'll definitely arrange for the same. Okay, we'll just take one more question from Geetu. This will be the last question, and if there's any more question, dear attendees, we'll share a site with you. We'll share the community link where you can connect with us and put in more questions.
I
So
like this last question. If everyone starts using AI tools to edit their resumes according to the job requirements, how can they avoid duplication? Because the result will be almost the same. So shortlisting a few profiles will again become a challenge in the future. This is a great question. Again, you have to be careful. You have to have the authentic CV that reflects your own expertise on this. You cannot duplicate. Now, I am not saying just duplicate, paste, and copy. I'm just saying take keywords and integrate them into the resume you have already done. Okay? And also because when you are invited for an interview, AI will also assess your responses if there's an AI. Okay, and even if they assess it correctly, you will still have the face-to-face interview at the end. And a very experienced or an experienced recruiter will tell if that you have amended your responses to suit the job or if you have the skills. Now, why did I say use those words? Because it's very competitive out there and you need to get your resume by the door to be seen. So just use those words, very carefully. But it's a great question because now I see a lot of people, and then, if you start integrating, where does it end? It will end at the end of the interview process. And always I tell you, as an experienced HR and experienced recruiter, people will know. So I'm just giving you this advice so you can just ensure that your resume is seen, but make it authentic and make it reflect your proper skills. And don't apply, please, for jobs that you're not skilled for the sake of applying. People can test it.
Of course. Thank you so much, Rania, for that. And, thank you, Geetu, for that brilliant question. I think this is something which is important to discuss because this is something which is, often overlooked by, the great things that we have to offer, and then we don't discuss on these. So thank you, Geetu. And there's a comment from Anil, appreciating you for the session and conveying his thanks. So thank you so much, Rania. That was all the questions that we had from the audience.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much. It was a brilliant session. Everything that you shared, I think I'm still very overwhelmed. There's a lot to learn from you, and so thank you so much for all the insights. And thank you to all the attendees as well. Your participation always helps to make these sessions more engaging, more exciting, and we appreciate all the questions, all the feedback that you shared with us. So that is all. I'm just having, okay, so we have, if you can see on your screen, for any queries related to our session today or related to Great HR, we also are in HRMS software. If you have any questions, you can write to yasser.arafat@greatip.com that you can see on your screen, and we'll get back to you. Also, as promised, this recording will be available on our Great HR channel, and we will send it to all of you on your email IDs, so you can always go watch it there and get your hands on all the tools that Rania spoke about. So thank you, everybody. Thank you so much, Rania, once again, and have a good evening.
Thank you. Bye.
Goodbye. Thank you.